So today I want to take a real quick look at the new Netflix film Feel the Beat starring Sophia Carson. After failing to find success on Broadway, April, played by Carson, who is very self-centered, not the actress, the character, she returns to her hometown and is recruited to coach some misfit girls for a dance competition. And if that plot sounds familiar, it's because this is the same story that has been told many times before and done much better. This film is a hodgepodge of cliches and redone plots that you've probably seen on pretty much every show from the CW network. And I'm not a huge fan of the CW network, so that raises a red flag right off the bat. Most of these reviews I always start with the positive, so I'll start with positive. The acting's all great. I'm a big fan of Sophia Carson. I've seen her in some really good stuff. She's a really great actress, and she's a really good dancer. And speaking of so, the dancing in this movie is very top-notch. It has some very fun sequences to watch. And considering this is a dramedy, you would expect there's plenty of comedy in the movie. And I bet you're all expecting me to tell you how just cringeworthy it is. And the first 30 minutes... that's kind of where it was going, because the first 20 or 30 minutes of this is an absolute slog, and I'm watching this thinking, oh no, this is going to be a long sit. But as the movie progresses, the comedy actually gets better. There's still plenty of jokes that are bad. Every movie has a bad joke every once in a while, even some of the funniest movies have bad jokes. But I was legitimately surprised that the comedy is actually pretty good in this movie. But that's about all there is to it, because the drama part of it is very bad. It's every TV movie that you've ever seen. It feels like something, like I said, from the CW. It feels like it's from Freeform or the Disney Channel or something like that. This is the same kind of plot you'd see that I saw in something like Camp Rock. It's a hodgepodge of cliche, because the second you start watching this movie, you know where the story's going to go, you know where the characters are going to go, you know what's going to happen, you can predict every line, every joke, every dramatic moment that happens, because it's the same story you've seen 1,000 times. It's a self-centered girl who, after working with some kids or something else, suddenly learns that she's been a jerk to everybody this whole time, and of course that she gets a job at Broadway by the end, and you expect she's gonna go back for the final competition. Although, a couple of times they do kind of flip those cliches on their head a bit. Like, for example, near the end, this spoiler, I guess, near the end of the movie, she gets a lead role in a Broadway show, and she, of course, ends up leaving to go back to watch the Nationals competition. And instead of her ending up quitting or getting fired because she left, she still ends up doing the Broadway show, and I thought that was decent. There's also another thing that happens that kind of flips the cliche on its head, where a kid is supposed to do, like, the kind of star lift move, if you know what that is. You, like, lift somebody up over your head, and this kid has hurt his wrist from practicing it too much. And you kind of think, okay, he's gonna do the lift anyway, even though they're telling him not to, and it's gonna be fine, everything's gonna work out. But instead, the girl picks him up. And I thought that was kind of funny, actually. So yeah, it does have a few cliches that flips on its head, but every other one is painful to sit through, painful to watch, and painful to listen to. The romance between her and her old boyfriend Nick, who she dumped via text, which is douchey in its own right, is very contrived, and you can tell that you know what's going to happen, like everything else in this movie. So, this movie isn't bad by any means. It's just boring, it's dull, it's cliche, it's not a terrible movie. This reminds me of something that the last movie I reviewed, Artemis Fowl, where it was also a bunch of hodgepodge of other films I'd seen before, like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, Narnia. But this one tried, at least. It doesn't feel like Artemis Fowl even tried that much. This one you can kind of tell, like, we're given the script, we're like, okay, this is a really mediocre at best script, we're gonna do everything we can with it. And they really do. The dancing in this is great, they brought together a really good cast for this, and they do have a cameo from the woman who played Tracy in the Hairspray on Broadway, Marissa Janet something, I can't remember her name, but she was actually pretty funny, and there are some legitimately funny characters. Her stylist friend is actually is very entertaining, and a lot of these actors try their best with the script they're given. Unfortunately, there's nothing really noteworthy about it other than the dancing, which it's a dance movie, so obviously you're gonna have that as a high point, because otherwise that's just a complete fail. And this movie wasn't a complete fail. I'm legitimately surprised. I was wanting to like this more than I did, because I really like the lead actress. I've seen her do some great stuff, but I couldn't get into the story. It's generic, it's boring, it's cliche, it's dull. I didn't care what was going to happen, and probably by the 45-minute mark, I was just checking my watch thinking, when the hell is this going next? The movie's an hour and 50 minutes. I probably could have been told in an hour 10. And when your movie's only an hour 50 and you think it's too long, that becomes an issue. So yeah, if you're a dance fan, if you're a dancer and you like movies like this, you'll probably like this okay. If you don't like these generic CW movies like I do, like I don't, and this is a Netflix movie, it's not actually CW, I think I established that, but if you don't like the kind of crap that CW puts out, even their DC stuff has been sucking recently, if you don't like that stuff, you're gonna hate this movie. I surprisingly don't hate it. I think there was a lot more they could have done with the story, and it seems like they didn't try to take any risks with it, which really bothers me. This is the kind of movie you need to take risks with, because part of it's about taking risks, and it seems like the screenwriters didn't take their own advice, and I hate when they do that. So yeah, wouldn't recommend unless you're really into these kind of movies. Not a horrible film, but pretty generic overall. Not something I'll ever watch again. I'm giving Feel the Beat a C-. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more reviews, comment down below and shoot me a like. And I'll see you next time. Bye.